Hey there, Boozemeisters, and welcome back to the Peach Pod After Dark. I am Jeff. Hello? Hey, yo, scumbag. Hey, suck your own. Eat me. Hey, same to you, buttface. Mom says hi. And joining me on the other end of the internet is my cuz-host.
I'm sorry, that caught me off guard. Okay. I'm Leslie, and I like a good party, but something about you worries me.
That's, you know what? That is possibly the greatest segue you could have given me to how I wanted to start this episode. And it might be a miracle that you did that. Because say that thing again that you just said, because I want to get the details of it right.
Sure.
You love a good party as much as the next person, but something.
I like a good party, but something about you worries me.
All right, that's this movie.
Yeah.
It's the whole movie. And in order to, I need to tell you a Simpsons thing because this is how my brain works.
Oh, that's fine.
There's an episode where it's the Itchy and Scratchy movie, and Bart really wants to see it, but he did something bad. So Marge wants to hold the line and punish him for this, and Homer's like, but he really wants to go see this movie. And there's a back and forth. And Marge says to him, Homer, do you want Bart to grow up to be Supreme Court Justice or a male stripper? And Homer says, can't he be both like the late Earl Warren?
Oh my God.
And so I've been struggling with this movie all week because it could be the saddest thing I've ever seen and in such an indictment on the world, or it could be the silliest, stupid movie that could have ever been made and just a goofball time capsule. And I was like, I don't know what this movie is, but I think, can't it be both like the late Earl Warren?
I mean, it did because they clearly said, we want Shakespeare, but we need more tits.
Yeah. Like, it's such a... And I mean, let's be real honest, that's everyone's position on Shakespeare, but go ahead.
Shakespeare is full of dick jokes and innuendo. Like, English teachers love pointing that out to students in hopes that it will get them excited. And I'm like, not now, but like after I learned about Chekhov and Ibsen, I'm like, no, give me the E guys, the E boys, give me the depressives. That's what kids want now. We want the sad, the gun's just sitting out here. It's got to mean something.
Sure. I feel like this movie was Chekhov's tits.
Shakespeare's tits.
Well, I mean, maybe, but like we were shown at the beginning of this movie starts out. So guys, we're talking about just one of the guys. The 1985, I'm going to just say masterpiece, about a girl who wants to be a reporter when she grows up. She's like a senior in high school or whatever. And there's an summer internship that two people from her class, two people from another school are going to get submitted for this thing. And it's based on writing that you've done for class. She thinks she did a great job and she should be the choice. And she's not chosen. Two guys are. Presuming that this was sexist and only sexist, she decides to dress up as a guy, go to the other school, submit the same article, get in the contest, get the summer internship. Bob's your uncle. She wins. That's what she wants to do. So she goes and does this, shows up at the other school, finds out that she wasn't quite as good as she thought she was. Because even when she was a guy, the teacher was like, this is kind of boring what you wrote. It needs to be better, something more interesting. And guys are gross. That's pretty much what she found out. And then
I could tell you that, and I didn't have to stuff my pants.
That's true. You didn't have to, but I mean, it's fun, right?
I don't know. The few times I have dressed up as a man, I have, never stuffed my pants.
You didn't commit to it, huh?
No, I didn't. And I even had an acting teacher call me out on it, and I was just like,
when you scratched your balls, did you scratch your balls like she did?
Absolutely not. I did no such thing.
Inches like away from where balls are, and
yeah. Again, and I'm gonna jump ahead now. Where an intimacy choreographer would come in handy.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have a lot to talk about there.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, you are. But first, we should say what the spelling connection is to Just One of the Guys.
Yes,
and it is. We're watching this in conjunction with season 2, episode 2, The Party Fish, where Brandon at the beach club meets Sandy, who's hanging out with Jerry Rattinger, and it's a whole situation going on there. So the way we got into this was because Sandy is in Just One of the Guys. She plays Deborah. But that's not all.
She looks like an Allison Pill from the 80s. I'm sorry.
No, she does a little bit. I get that. But the rest of the top billed cast in this movie, with the exception of Sherilyn Fenn and Billy Zabka, are spelling connections.
Wow.
So Terry was in an episode of Melrose Place. And Mark is in the Dreams of Dylan McKay episode of 90210. He plays the doctor. Buddy is in Charmed. Debbie is in I wrote the A-Team, but she was in the Love Boat. She was in both of those things, and the A-Team doesn't fit. And then Kevin was in an episode in season 9 of 90210. Like, this whole movie is spelling connected, so we can't get away from it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so that's what this movie's about. It's about a girl dressing up to be a guy to get her fair shot at the career opportunity that she is looking for.
Yes.
And it is a bizarre premise.
Indeed. That waffles around because, again, they clearly wanted it to be a variation of Twelfth Night.
Tell me, because I am less familiar with Twelfth Night than I am other Shakespeare works. So please tell me what happens in this one. Give me the Jean Valjean of it all.
Oh, okay, great. Twelfth Night is one of 2, I think, Shakespeare plays where a woman dresses up as a man for safety. Viola had her shipwrecks. She thinks her twin brother is dead. She is in a new place, unsafe, unchaperoned. So she takes on the clothing of a man to survive the world. She starts working for a lord in the area, and he's in love with this other woman, and she goes, "Hey, I can help you get that chick." And of course, he falls in love with him, and the girl she's trying to get to be in love with the guy she's in love with is falling in love with her.
I got lost somewhere in the middle, but I got you.
So it's, it's a lot of like people falling in love with the wrong person. A lot of crazy shenanigans in the background that are not included in this film whatsoever. But they are
included in Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
They're included in She's the Man, the Amanda Bynes version of Twelfth Night.
Okay.
Never thought I was going to shout out that film, but
there it is.
2024. Stranger things have happened, people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is Twelfth Night in a nutshell. And
I see it.
Yeah. So it's there, but it's very loose. Very loose.
The way that like East Side Story is loose for Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. What did I say this was like? I wrote it down. I said if 12th Night married How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Okay.
Because...
Okay.
And not because of the How to Lose a Guy part. It's just for the fact that the main woman in How to Lose a Guy is a journalist, and all of this is based around her writing an article. Much like this movie, all of this is happening because she wants to write an article. And I'm like, you supposedly went to a rival school, which completely forgot until I read the synopsis.
Right.
Because those schools were the same sets. Those people were all the same people.
It's true. That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, could you not have just sent it in? Could you not have spared yourself the torment? Just sent it in. Your name is gender neutral. I was like, am I lazy? I would have just sent it in and like been like, hey, I'm sick. I can't be in class. Here's this article from a student who's new. Like, also, I'm sorry, there are just so many. I have never caught on to plot holes more in a movie in my life. This plot was Swiss cheese. Oh my god.
I love how fired up you are about this movie.
We haven't even gotten to the so-called feminist parts of this movie.
Right. No, so here's what I loved about this week. When you started watching this and it became another episode of Jeff Explains the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love because like I don't know that everybody does this. I do this where I just sort of assume that the things I've experienced, everyone else kind of has also, at least in some capacity.
I think we all do that in a way.
Yeah, I think so. The details may be different, but like it is a universal experience, this thing that I've experienced. And so, I remember this movie as silly, but like real horny. And like mostly, I mean, when I told you what this movie was, I said, you're going to hear the line, where do you get off having tits? And that's what this movie is in my head. And I'm assuming you're going to watch this movie and you're going to see it and go, well, this is some super dated gender role bullshit. How funny is this? Because you can't do this now.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you couldn't, like this isn't, no. Like so much of this is no. But it's like when you look at it as like this ridiculous thing. And so that's what I'm expecting. And what I get instead is, did you do jock checks? What the fuck is that?
A logical question.
No, totally. It's not something that I anticipated. It's not one, because I didn't remember it as part of the movie. But when you texted me that, I thought that's fucking funny. Because she's just like and now I have to explain the 80s again. This is a thing that happened. And my first, when I was like, yep, 80s were crazy, I was thinking about in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But then like 3 seconds later, I remembered, oh, I had to do those. I had to, not in gym class, but I had to do them in basketball practice.
Oh, okay.
Junior high. And it didn't seem weird. It was like, because the jockstrap, for those who don't know, is meant to compact everything.
Oh, so like a dance belt.
I don't know. I don't wear a dance belt. I don't know. But like I don't know what a dance belt. I'd never worn one. So, but it tucks everything up and tight so that when you're running, things aren't bouncing up and down and hurting. But two, it also gives a much smaller target for any accidental knees or elbows.
Oh.
So it's a safety. It's a piece of safety equipment. And if you're playing baseball or something, people will put a cup in there, like a hard plastic that stops like a hard object, like a baseball or a hockey puck.
Yeah,
that could do real damage. That's a cup would go in there. But when you're playing basketball or something, or in this case, you're just wearing the jockstrap. And I hadn't seen this when you mentioned it to me, but I was like, oh yeah, no, that happened all the time, and it made total sense as something we would do. And then I explained to you how it worked.
Yeah.
And then I watched the movie, and I'm like, hey, they did it exactly the way I explained it. Like, and they didn't say anything about it. They were just doing it while he was going up and down the line, like yelling at them for being wet or whatever he was yelling at them about.
Yeah.
And they had their thumb hooked in the strap, and they were pulling it out to the side, as I described it to you, as if you were showing someone your bra strap. Same kind of deal, you know.
Which is crazy, though, because we didn't do that with bras.
Right.
I know. That would have been nuts, Ember. That would have been very inappropriate. I agree.
Yeah.
And I guess in my head I was thinking like, well, that just feels like something that those boys need to learn on their own, and learn the hard way. No pun intended. But I guess that because it's like a safety thing, you can't really let and they're children, so like that's kind of cruel.
But like the weird thing is that like while doing that as a junior high student, like by the time you're in high school, they just trust you to take care of it, which is exactly how I ended up with teammates who would go commando during basketball games.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just nuts. I mean, literally. And figuratively. But when I remember thinking back, oh, well, yeah, that was totally normal. But when I coached, it never once occurred to me to do a jock strap check. Like, it's insane to me as an adult that I would perform one of those. But when I was a kid, being subjected to one seemed very normal. And still kind of does. I still get it. You know, it doesn't feel creepy to me because it wasn't like, okay, bend over and show me the ass part. It's like, no, just show me the strap so that I can see you're wearing one, you know.
In theater, they're called dance belts. Okay. And much like in sports, you wear them to keep things compact as a dancer. Yeah, that's right. Or, if your dance partner has to be pressed up against you, they would very much appreciate you wearing one.
You prefer that to how do you feel about my favorite song about dancing with a boner, Closer? Do you know that song?
Not off the top of my head.
It's this song where it starts out with the lyric, I wonder if she can tell I'm hard right now.
Yes, she can.
And then it proceeds to, it's like, step back, you're dancing kind of close. I feel a little poke coming through.
Oh my God.
It's the song ever. It's got to be the greatest song ever about dancing with a boner. I don't know how many there are, but that's top. So you're more of a step back, you're dancing kind of close. Like you're not the I want you so bad sexually. That's
Let's just say I was very thankful in this one production when my dance partner one day, I think it was beginning of dress rehearsals, he went, I have to wear a dance belt now. And I went, thank God. To his face.
Yeah.
I was tired of... Listen, if I'm going to have to feel that, I better be getting paid. And I was not getting paid for this.
Yeah, that's no good. You don't want an inadvertent wiener.
No. But yeah, so the jockstrap check was a step back in time that I was not expecting.
Yes. And I had forgotten about it, so your reaction to it made me very happy.
I definitely feel like I would survive time travel back to Victorian era more than I would survive the 80s. I would get into fights in the 80s. And I'm not even saying that I necessarily would thrive in the Victorian era, because clearly I wouldn't.
Right.
TB sucks. Also, not getting to vote would suck. But there are at least people with manners. I feel like in the 80s, this all felt like a big response to the women's lib movement, like, it just felt like you had guys being extra crude to women because they wanted respect. And then you also had girls being mean to other girls because we're not on this feminist bullshit.
Right.
We're cool girls. We don't need this.
Right. You know what's interesting to me about this movie in that regard is, like, it feels like it's almost all of those things. But then it's kind of not. Because the guys in, like, the point of this movie, like, it's a sex movie with no sex in it. I mean, very, very little. Buddy's a super horn dog. But there's nothing inappropriate that happens sexually to anybody in this movie.
Yeah.
None of the guys are sexually aggressive towards the girls.
True.
They're aggressive towards each other.
Yeah.
So where it seems like this is a movie about guys being like over the top to the girls, they're not. They're over the top to each other, and we're shown, like, the point of the movie isn't how weird is it to be a girl.
Yeah.
The point of it is guys are gross. Like, there's only one decent guy in this entire movie. Every other guy is either a bully or, like, just a real snotty college fuckboy, or has, like, a lot of lizards that he just walks around with, which is just, I mean, it's antisocial or asocial behavior. It just doesn't fit anywhere. It's real weird.
He had a bunch of ESA animals.
What's that?
He was ahead of the curve on ESA animals.
He was. It's just weird. I mean, love your lizards if that's what you're into, but it's going to look weird in the high school cafeteria. And then the other two guys are like those two nerdy guys who, like, speak different languages with each other, they are operating on their own frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not my frequency, so I look at them and think, look at those geeks. But if they were doing Monty Python quotes back and forth to each other or explaining things with long Simpsons setups, they would be my people. So, like, I recognize them as my people, just their own version of it. But they're weirdos. Like, and so am I, so it's great. But all the guys are just, and Buddy is just a walking boner.
Oh my God.
So the whole movie is, look at these stupid boys. I can't believe they're in charge of shit.
I forgot to mention the other wild thing that definitely wouldn't be done in schools today. But like, when the coach was like, shirts, skins, I went, he's having them take off their shirts?
So my wife was also shocked by this. And she lived through the 80s with me. I mean, not with me, but we're the same age.
Yeah.
And so she went to school, and I was like, how do you not know shirts and skins? I mean, I understand that you wouldn't participate in a shirts and skins game, but I can't believe you're unaware that when boys play basketball, they don't have, like, you just go shirts and skins, and half the guys take their shirts off, throw them on the side, and now you can tell who's on whose team. And she's like, well, we always had those pennies. And I'm like, right, in gym class. But if I was, like, walking down the street and there was a pickup game and I said, hello, fellows, and I put on my penny, it would be the weirdest thing in the world.
But see, I feel like at a pickup game, that makes more sense. Because when I mentioned it to Walter, a fellow millennial, he also agreed it was weird for school setting to be like shirts, skins. But for a pickup game, he was like, no, that makes total sense.
I bet that if I had gone to an all-boys school, they would have just done that. It would have just been shirts and skins in a gym class. And that's what I think it was an all boys gym class.
I know at some schools now they have, have had all boy gym class, or they've started doing same sex gym classes. So like that probably would work there. But again, I feel nowadays, especially with like the blossoming of gender, the blossoming and blowing up of gender norms, like shirts and skins is definitely going to work or not work for some people more than others.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But I also I don't look at it as like,
I know it's not meant to be harmful.
No. And it also just seems very normal to me in a way that, like, when I look back at the jockstrap thing, I can look back and see how that is weird. Even though I don't look back at it and think that it's weird, but I could see how it's weird. Shirts and skins, I could see it, I especially see it now. But when I watch something when it's like shirts and skins, I'm like, okay. Yeah. Yep, that's what happens. That's what you do, your shirts and skins. But
maybe if I was allowed to roam this world freely without a shirt and not cause a problem, then I wouldn't be so gasp about it. And maybe if boobs required the same amount of protection as male genitalia, or like, then
from harm, you mean? Yeah.
I mean, they definitely hurt, but I would imagine they don't hurt as much when they get hit. Again, my experience is different from others.
You elbowed me right in the tit.
Yeah. Speaking of which, my dad, I think this was the day that we stopped playing sports in the backyard, because he threw the football and it hit me right in the chest. And listeners, you would need a magnifying glass, and you definitely would have needed them then. But my dad was so flustered, like, oh my God, I hit my daughter in the chest. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the last day we threw the football around.
Yeah. It's weird because I've coached girls soccer, and you have to teach people who are playing soccer how to field the ball with different parts of their body. How to safely control the ball off your head and send it where you want, or how to safely trap it off your knee, or how to trap it off your chest.
Oh my God.
And because you don't if the ball hits you in the chest, it could be painful, and there are ways to mitigate that. Like, there are ways to take a ball on your chest that it won't hurt. And there's also ways that you can then control where the ball goes, because that's what you want, right? In soccer, when the ball comes at you, you want to take it, put it on the ground at your feet under control, not have it bounce off you and go wherever it feels like.
Okay.
So I've had to teach high school girls how to chest trap. I have no boobs. And it's a weird thing, but you have to teach them because it's a safety thing, Yeah. And for anyone wanting to know, the way that you do it, if you're not wearing like a sports bra that really straps you in, you have to open your arms up and lean back.
Oh, like cactus pose.
It opens everything up, and it gives the ball your chest plate to hit, and not the things on top of it. So it hits like that instead of boobs.
Why can't they just make breastplates for women like knights? Like, that makes more sense to me than sports bras, because, again...
metal chest plates.
Not a lot to harm here, but they still hurt.
Right.
Like, I would rock something that Cersei Lannister wore.
Right.
When that one time she got drunk and they were all at war, but she was like, I got a breastplate. I'm good to go.
Right.
This is all I get to do. I think Sansa also had one. It's like, why would we not just have chest armor instead of like these, what they call super supportive sports bras? I'm going on a stupid tangent, but like,
you're not, because this movie is about boobs.
Okay. And speaking of which, I know, because I read about it now, that they totally did have her in like a binding shirt.
They would have had to.
They would have had to, except
Yeah.
I hate that they don't show her binding ever, because I'm like, I'm sorry, they're making it seem like she just hid all that during the day.
Right. Because
Like you just weren't able to.
as we're shown in the first 30 seconds of the movie, this is a very attractive woman with lots of lady curves.
Yes.
And so we're again at
Peak
Chekhov's
ideal woman a la 1985.
Yeah. And then she boys it up, gets a short haircut, kind of talks like this. There were a lot of weird New York accents in this California town.
Yep.
Like, these actors were so funny with these accents. But you talk like this a little bit, and then you're a guy, and hey, son of a bitch, and grab my nuts, and whatever, like, you know, things that she had to learn to be. She was having to disguise a great deal.
Indeed. I mean, we even got Mulan binding herself.
It's true.
And that's a cartoon.
Mm-hmm. We're a half an hour in. Why don't we talk about adventures in intimacy as it relates to this movie, since we're talking about jock straps and bras and boobs already? Yeah. All we've done is talk about just organs and the clothes that cover them tonight.
But I mean, that's a big part of what this movie's about. Because that's a big part of what being a teen is about, is, oh my God, we all were fine in elementary school, but now I know what you have between your legs.
Right, exactly. And it's different than this.
Which also ties in well to, you know, the brother at one point makes a comment of how, like, well, when things get tough, the answer's always drag. And I thought,
sure.
That's interesting. Because that is so often treated, drag is often treated like it's the answer. In a world that is constantly trying to banish drag now.
Yeah.
You know, from the first shot, I was like, oh God, this is peak male gaze.
Oh, yeah.
And then I read it was directed by a woman, and I was like, interesting.
That is interesting.
I can see where parts of this where, like, I'm not saying I can tell or that it makes sense now that it was directed by a woman. Like, I'm not that good. Because, again, from that first shot alone, I went, yeah, peak male gaze. Like, it's the exact type of underwear that men fantasize or have been told to fantasize about women in. You know, it's the thing that women are told, hey, if you go to bed in this, you will be sexy too.
Right. And wake up in literally full makeup.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, that stuff looks hella comfy, especially in like summer months.
Right.
Do I want a camera on it? No,
yeah.
Not really. So costumes and stuff like that alone, you know, like it helps having an icy in on, like, oh, what are they wearing in this? Like, is this something that they are comfortable with? Same with, like, not the same, but, you know, in the ball scratching scene, like, obviously they didn't really talk to her. I mean, that's part of the joke, is that she does it wrong. But, like, if they really wanted her to commit to the bit, you know, they would have had someone tell her, like, no, you would do it like this, or you would, like, they would talk it through, you know?
I'm wondering, because now that you said directed by a woman, and I'm not sure that I knew that, it might have half registered when I saw the credits on the screen. You know, I don't remember. Do we think that instead of it being peak male gaze, maybe it's a commentary on that? Like, is it possible she was doing something that neither one of us noticed at the time because I wasn't paying attention to it as like a female director kind of thing? Like,
it could be. It's so hard to tell in this movie. You
Yeah.
know, because and I was reading an article, it was in the New York Post earlier. I think it was like an anniversary reunion article. Yeah. Just one of the guys turns 35, and then it was Joyce Heiser Robinson and then Lisa Gottlieb talking with New York Post about it.
Oh, okay.
Interesting article and interview. I think I I'm not sure I believe everything they say just because I'm like, you've had 35 years to process this, and like anymore,
Right.
anytime I hear people, it's like when I come on to a set or a theater rehearsal as IC and they say like
Mm-hmm.
everything's fine, we've been safe, we feel comfortable. I'm like, you are
Right.
awfully defensive when I
Right.
like I'm not the sex police. I am
Right.
not I'm not coming in here to reprimand anyone. I'm
Right.
just coming in here to choreograph. Like it low key feels like that when they're in the article a little when they're talking about like, well, we discussed the different ways of doing the the breast reveal. And
Uh-huh.
like because Joyce had it written in her contract, no nudity.
Mm.
And then they tried it both ways. And she apparently agreed that, oh, it is more powerful to show your tits. And I'm like, is it?
I mean, I feel, well, see, and this is so hard because it's really hard to um, ascribe motive to other people that you've never met. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But it feels like when you said something about that, I was like, yeah, well, that's the point of the movie is that shot, you know, and it's the point of the advertising. Like the VHS box is boys in the locker room facing the locker, towels around their waists. She is facing the camera, towel
Mm-hmm.
around her waist, football helmets over her boobs.
Yeah.
Like the differences in the male and female body are the big part of the point of the movie.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like the way that and it starts with the way they're presented, the way she's presented,
Yeah.
and then it's so at the end, like you Chekhov's tits. You have to fire. You saw that they were there. You know they're there. You have to fire them in the third act.
Well, and so here's the funny thing. So She's the Man has a similar moment, but they
Mm-hmm.
do what this movie didn't. You know,
Like
you
from behind or something, or
actually no. You see her take her thumb over her shirt and lift it, and you just see
uh-huh.
like the top half of her and then
Ah,
everyone's reaction.
okay,
And then, like, now you all believe
yeah,
me? And,
right.
again, why? We're having these conversations a lot more in this world. Like, you shouldn't have to see people's body parts to believe what they are.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so, like, I think you're probably right in that this is meant to speak against those ideas. I think, unfortunately, audiences aren't smart enough to see beyond that because
Mm-hmm.
I think I read a quote from Joyce somewhere also saying that after this, people just stared at her chest. And I'm like, yeah, that would really suck. I would once
Mm-hmm.
again have to worry about getting in fights with people.
Right. Which
Um,
she did twice in that movie. She got in
oh my,
scrapes.
I I love how she's screaming like a girl when Billy
Right.
Zabka has her like up in the air, and I'm thinking, do you not are you not thinking that, man, it's weird, this person's register has just completely changed. I wonder if they're okay. But no, he's a bully. What am I thinking?
Right. I would think um that he would have either grabbed something he didn't expect to find or not grabbed something that he did expect to find
Well, yeah, because
and been surprised by what's happening there.
the fact that later on she so easily is able to reveal her breasts suggests she's
Mm-hmm.
not wearing any binding. So yeah, I think he would have felt something.
I feel like it, yeah. But also, Zabka's a fucking professional, and
Oh,
we shall not blaspheme in this house.
no, not at all.
So, yeah.
My last intimacy thing is actually just a nitpicky thing I was thinking like could have been improved upon. There's a moment where Terry, as male Terry,
right,
fixes, what's his name? The guy she likes.
Mark.
She fixes Mark's hair, and it
Uh-huh.
kind of catches him off guard. And it's supposed to be like a cool, tender moment. Again, very a la Twelfth Night, because the funny thing in Twelfth Night is there's always been a debate on whether or not the Lord she's working for is gay, because he falls for her dressed as a man.
Right.
But of course, he doesn't understand what he's feeling. He just knows something's going on there.
Sure.
But anyway, so like there was that moment and it got completely swept under the rug. And I'm like, damn it. If you had just held it for like a couple seconds more, it would have been really cool. Again, to like further solidify, like, oh yeah, they're cute. And like, she likes him and he's curious about this person. It just, but again, gay panic. It was probably too much.
I that's the way that would play now. In 1985, I don't think they're putting their toes in that water, you know?
Yeah.
But it definitely, if you made this movie now, that would be the way that worked, you know, and it would be more interesting that way. And it would be true in so many cases, you know?
Yeah.
in ways that this movie isn't true, but it's, I don't know. So we've talked about a lot of different sort of thematic stuff in this movie. Is there something that thematically you found interesting?
Well, now I don't know, because again, the plot was so holy. I kept getting bogged down by details. It was hard for me to catch on to like.
There were jock straps to deal with.
There really were. Listen, body parts were getting thrown in my face in this film, and I didn't know I had hit Pornhub that night.
Hey, you know what? She reads Vonnegut.
Oh yeah, I love that.
It was really funny. Yeah, I really appreciated that.
That was almost the intro I used. I read Vonnegut in the bathtub. I want to hear what you think about theme-wise, and maybe that'll spark something.
So I think for me, it's almost like it wants to be about. I think the thing that's most interesting to me about this movie is how, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, is how the target of all of the negative stuff is the boys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the men who teach in the high school are creepers, and one of them like real creeper.
Oh my god.
And then the other one is just like doesn't think she can because she's a girl. But and this is something it touches this a little bit, but I mentioned it earlier, but I think it was important to me to see it. When we're watching the movie last night, you know, she gets super bent out of shape when her piece doesn't win.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is all because of sexism, or, you know, shouldn't say those words, but that's what it is. If I was a boy, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at Laura and I said, how do we know it's any good what she wrote? Like, maybe she's just super full of herself and thinks her shit don't stink. And maybe it's mediocre and she didn't get it on merit, but she's going at this like she didn't get it because of gender politics. And I liked that when she turned it in at the other school and he thought she was a boy, he said, this isn't very good.
Yeah.
And so we were shown that judged on the merits, it was fine. And she probably shouldn't have won. So she needed to do more. and she didn't need to throw herself into like a sex comedy. You know,
No.
she didn't have to expose herself to like all of the male genitalia of that high school in her job as person who hands naked boys towels, which is not a job, by the way. It's not something that I ever experienced in a gym class where just one guy was like, here's a towel, here's a towel. Yeah. You need a towel. Look at your wang. Here's a towel. Like that's not what happened ever. So weird job. But she has to get better, which is great, you know. Yeah. And so she's not shown as the problem in the movie. You know, like she is a character who needs to achieve something and she has to overcome some things to get there. She's the hero of the story. Yeah. But it's not hubris. It's not a false sense of her own abilities. It's not her blaming something that isn't really the problem. Mm-hmm. It's her learning something. But all of the boys are terrible. And they're not terrible to the girls, they're terrible to each other. And I think that's a really interesting twist on what could have been going on in a movie like this. You know?
That helped me see just now. I think that's how it's telling that it's directed by a woman, because while I do feel like in 80s movies, we do see a lot of bullying, picking on each other a lot more. Oh, sure. You know, we usually see it more across both, but there is more of a sense of camaraderie amongst the women in this, which is refreshing.
Yeah, Debbie comes to her for advice all the time. And
you just mentioned she's confident. What other teen movies from that time do we have confident teenage girls?
Right.
Listen, what are all the social media platforms? Who are they targeting the most? Insecure teenage girls. They still do it, and they've been doing it since they figured out that's their dream market. It's awful, but it's there. So like it is pretty incredible that we have such a confident female lead. And like even her friend who is, you know, bemoaning the fact that she doesn't have a date to prom, I would say she's still pretty confident. She still shoots her shot. And I mean, she doesn't just go with anyone to go with anyone, you know, like.
Yeah.
She's like,
no, she waits for the mullet guy in the band.
I love that she goes with Terry. I love that she's like, all right, fine. I'll go with my girl dressed as a guy.
Right.
Like, sounds like a fun night to me.
Yeah, I think she had a good time.
Yeah. And so I think things like that are telling.
Yeah.
In you know, in who's directing it.
And I think maybe it shows itself oddly in Buddy. Because he is a ridiculous hornball. Yeah. You know, like his job is sex. Like, you know.
Beach.
His job is want sex. Like, that's his job. But, and yes, he decorates his room in all centerfolds, which is like, it's such a move, teenage boy. But I'll say this. I've worked in factories where guys dress up their workstations with centerfold pictures. Wow. That was a long time ago, so maybe they don't do that anymore, you know, but that's certainly the way that it was in a place that I worked. But Buddy, as horny as he is not lecherous.
No.
Like he comes off as like overly zealous and really dopey, but not like someone who's gonna. He's not Jake Ryan.
No.
You know,
could have her up there right now if I wanted.
Right. He, you know, like there's not that part of him. And he's I'm trying to decide if he's better than Farmer Ted or not.
Yeah,
you know,
I think he is.
He probably is.
Because here's the thing. He doesn't take a girl who's inebriated, you know?
Right, but so was Farmer Ted. I mean, Farmer Ted was out of it. He didn't even know what happened.
They were, yeah, okay. They were both messed up.
Yeah.
I always forget that's his nickname.
That movie is such a mess. It's such a problem on so many levels, and I also love it.
Oh, me too. And I'm glad
I don't know what to tell you. I love 16 Candles. It's a problem from start to finish.
Yeah. People get mad at me when I say I love Breakfast Club, and I'm like, I can love it and still see its problems.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
How do you explain family? You love your family, and you can love complaining about how problematic they are on the holiday season. I see your memes. Stop.
It's true.
Stop it. Calm down.
Uh-oh. You done been sassed, everyone.
But yeah, so like when Buddy is in bed with his lady love,
yes, by the way,
at Dawson's Creek.
Okay, wait a minute. You just skipped over who she is.
She's in Dawson's Creek.
No, that's Sherilyn Fenn. She's in Twin Peaks.
Wait, what?
Yes, she's in Twin Peaks. She's amazing.
Hold on a second.
Yes. No. Audrey, I think is her name. She's the one who can tie a cherry stem into a knot with her tongue.
Well, I haven't seen Twin Peaks yet.
Oh, man.
You said Sherilyn what?
Sherilyn Fenn. See, you haven't seen Twin Peaks, but that's who she is. And she is a sex pot and a half. Audrey Horne, yeah, in Twin Peaks, in the stylized, weird-ass way that show is. So, no,
she's also on Dawson's Creek.
She was. No, I know she did that, too. Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying she wasn't. I'm saying that's not who she is. Who she is Audrey Horne from Twin Peaks.
Much bigger. It's kind of like when people go, what was it? Oh, when people were going on about Sean Astin in Stranger Things, and we all went, no. He didn't carry Frodo all the way across Middle Earth for you to only know him as Bob.
Right.
Or he didn't fight tooth and nail to get into Notre Dame for you.
That's right. He didn't Rudy that shit.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, no, I just, I mean, if you haven't seen Twin Peaks, you don't know, but that's who Sherilyn Fenn is. So yeah, I mean, Buddy outkicked the coverage on that one. Like that was a good pull for Buddy. Sherilyn Fenn.
I should have said the other indicator that a woman led this film is that we get more brunettes in it, and I'm sorry, but
yeah,
brunettes weren't getting work for a while.
Yeah, that's no good. I'm a brunettes kind of fella.
Listen,
and that's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
Okay, so do you have an EST?
I have two. I think this is the
okay
because we can't keep calling things the horniest, but it's bawdiest.
Oh, the bawdiest. Okay,
it is the bawdiest teen movie.
Okay. I like it.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, where do you draw the line between bawdy and horny?
Bawdy has some class to it.
Okay.
Horny does not.
Grease 2 has no class. I mean,
no, it does not, other than like school.
Right. Yeah, they're in science class and they sing about reproduction. That's what kind of class.
Reproduction.
I got your pistol right here.
Good God.
Such a bad movie. All right. So my EST for this movie is the low-key Twilight Zone-iest movie.
Oh.
And here's why. And I mentioned this to you earlier, and you didn't know what I was talking about.
No.
They describe Terry in this movie as looking like the Karate Kid. That's how Terry is described by one of the kids in the school.
Yeah.
Right? They say, Terry looks like the Karate Kid, which he kind of does. There's a Ralph Macchio-ness going on there. These kids are going to school with Greg, who is Billy Zabka. If the Karate Kid exists in this universe as a piece of art that they could have watched on television, how is everyone there squaring the circle that Johnny Lawrence goes to their school and is a person and not a character in the movie? How is he both of those things? You want a statement? That's what you get with a woman director. You get...
Oh, man.
Yep.
It's like when the 1986 American Girl doll came out and she owned an American Girl doll.
What? That's like a fractal.
I know!
That's crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I find that very weird. Like you make a Karate Kid reference, and there's fucking Johnny Lawrence, and not for nothing, Johnny Lawrence once again caught out in the bathroom by a fire sprinkler situation, or a hose over the sprinkler situation.
Oh.
Do you not? Wait a minute. Have you not seen the Karate Kid?
We went over
That's right. That's right. There's not a girl in it. I forgot. Oh, God damn. I know.
When you texted me that last night, I looked at Walter and I went, oh, man, I was hoping to hold this off as long as possible. Because, like, I know Karate Kid is one, like, I feel like that's unforgivable for many people, much like I hadn't seen Jurassic Park for the longest time. Yeah. I finally saw it. You know, I can make my way through this world. Right, I know. Right. When I say I know enough, I think
you get it.
Weird thanks to How I Met Your Mother. I know enough about the Karate Kid.
Okay.
I know you're the best around. I know wax on, wax off.
Sure.
I know who Mr. Miyagi is.
Sure. I mean, whatever. People don't see things. It's fine.
Yeah.
But there are some things that I find it hard to believe people have managed not to see. Like, how did you avoid that? Like, because it just is sort of in the air. You know, it's like that movie's on TBS every fourth Saturday or whatever. How did you not accidentally watch it one day? And Karate Kid is kind of that.
I think a lot, too, about what my parents were renting for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, they probably just thought, she won't be interested.
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible.
Yeah.
But it is, I love that movie.
Everyone I know loves that movie.
It's great. It's just kind of great. But there's a scene where Daniel LaRusso he goes into the bathroom. It's a Halloween party, and he's dressed as a shower. Like he's got a shower ring over his head.
Oh my!
It's a pretty great costume. It's a pretty great costume, and it was Mr. Miyagi's idea. And it's Mr. Miyagi's idea because he could go and no one could see it was him, right? But he's still there, and he's like walking around with this shower ring around him. Anyway, there's a guy dressed as a chicken running through the party, explaining a lot of this scene in the Karate Kid, but everyone listening knows exactly what this is, but I have to tell you what it is. There's a guy dressed as a chicken, and he's throwing eggs at people.
Oh my god!
And he's using real eggs. This is wild. And he hits Daniel in the head. He gets egg in his hair. So Daniel has to go in the bathroom, and he's washing egg out of his hair. And in one of the stalls, Johnny, the big bad, the ex-boyfriend of the girl he's dating at the party, the guy who wants to kick his ass all of the time, the guy who's already kicked his ass at least once, is in a bathroom stall dressed as a skeleton, like a skeleton bodysuit with like skeleton face paint, rolling a joint.
Oh, nice.
And all of his buddies are also dressed as skeletons. So, but Johnny's in there rolling a joint, and Daniel is like, he sees his moment. So he takes a water hose and he pushes it up over the stall, over the sprinkler system, turns it on. Johnny gets wet. Johnny and all the Cobra Kai guys chase Daniel out of the place, and things happen, right? And so then in this movie, Terry fires up the sprinkler system in the bathroom. Greg and everybody else have to run out of the bathroom because they're soaking wet. What's the deal with Billy Zabka getting just bathroom wetted on by the people he picks on?
I don't know.
I mean, again, Twilight Zone shit. Yep. So, all right. Well, I don't know how we're going to fit it, but we got to watch Karate Kid at some point because, like,
yeah,
like I just described to you the greatest Halloween party in the history of cinema.
No, that would be Charlie Brown.
It's better. It's better. What? This guy's using real eggs. I mean, come on. What? I don't tell you. All right. Any more to say about any more to say about Just One of the Guys?
Oh boy. No, I think we nailed it.
We might have done it, huh?
I think we probably lost people with me saying that I've never seen the Karate Kid, but
you know what? I react with shock frequently when you don't see things, even though like at this point I should expect it because it happens so frequently that I'll say, "Have you?"
Funny.
Because there's some things that I just assume literally everyone has seen.
Yeah.
Like not because and that's not a statement of quality. Yeah. Like it's not me saying, I can't believe you've never seen Citizen Kane. It's the greatest movie of all time or whatever. It's me being shocked that you managed to miss it because it's a thing that's that ever present.
That should tell you how much rewatching I do when I'm sad.
Yeah, I get that. And I also have to keep adding, I'm 14 years older than you. So that's 14 more years to have watched movies.
Yeah.
Like I just got a lot more time under my belt.
If I ever seem sensitive to it, it's just because we live in a world now where people get beyond flabbergasted if you haven't seen everything they've seen. And it's just like people, there's too much content out there and it's a wonderful problem to have. But like, that's like going, you haven't read Ulysses?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck? No.
Yeah. And it really is just, I'm always surprised when something that feels ubiquitous is not known by somebody. And that doesn't mean that the person who doesn't know it is they're not a jive turkey. You know? A turkey is a bad person. That doesn't mean that they're bad or that they're like, or that they're stupid or that they don't know something. I'm always just floored that it's happened.
Yeah.
You know? And so there are some things where I just like, well, she has to have seen Karate Kid. Oh, come on. Fuck me. Really? Okay. This is one of the ones on the list that she just hasn't seen. And, you know, but we have this fun thing called this dopey ass podcast where we get to watch random movies that once again prove my theory that everything comes back to Aaron Spelling.
Hell yeah.
And by everything, I think, am I starting to convince you that it's pretty much everything?
You're getting there.
I mean, the breadth of things that we've covered here.
I know. And for some reason, I like to counter when you bring up a movie to watch and I'm like, oh, I want to bring up something too. And I'm like, ooh,
yeah.
What if we found a way to watch Harold and Maude? Like that would
awesome.
be
I bet it wouldn't. After we're done recording, because I don't want people to have to listen to me Google, I'll look it up and we'll see what we can find.
Oh my
But
god,
I bet we can find it. Next week, what we have on the docket is more Shakespeare.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we are going to watch Romeo and Juliet. And
Romeo plus Juliet or
Romeo with Claire Danes.
Oh yes.
Claire Danes. Yeah.
Romeo plus Juliet.
Because Claire Danes was in the Mod Squad, and making a second appearance, Emmett Walsh was in an episode of Starsky and Hutch. So, and he was in one of the other movies we did in season 1, and the movie The Jerk.
So
I have not.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, because like when it came out, I was like, I get it. You know what I mean? I was like, I've seen Romeo and Juliet. Like I saw that one in the 70s that had the boobs in it. So like, what else do I need?
They showed that one in my freshman. Okay, we'll talk about this next week. But
yeah, no, I saw that in school. Yes,
me too.
Yeah, I was like, woohoo! Best movie in school ever.
Olivia Hussey, beautiful girl, beautiful woman.
All right, so until next week, Boozemeisters. Cheers.